Trey, so glad to have you here on the show. Welcome. So today we're going to talk about your journey in the B2B SaaS and publishing technology space. And I'm really excited to dive into the evolution of your business, ePublishing. You've been doing ePublishing for over 20 years and starting as a software engineer. What is the story behind your journey from engineering all the way to now being the CTO and president?
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be on the show, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And yeah, so I did start out in software engineering, larger companies, early on in my career, 5 or 6 years into my career, had that pull or call, if you will, to go into management and leadership, and just really enjoyed, that aspect as much as, or more, than I do writing code and creating software. Just kind of felt led that way and decided that was the direction I was going to grow. So I think a lot of software engineers that, move from being ICs into leadership positions, we probably all face some of the same challenges and so forth. But many, many years later, as you said, it's been 20 something years now, and, fast forward and here we are. So
what's your favorite part of leadership? Just since we're talking about that transformation.
In particular, people in the engineering disciplines, it's a real challenge for them. But my favorite part is just getting results through others, honestly.
The speed.
Yeah, it's being that force multiplier, right? Where I enjoy the fact that I am not even close to the best engineer on our staff, right? Or the best product manager on our staff, or the best client service person on our staff, and so I love being surrounded by smart people. I love helping them, and I love watching what our company can do when we all collaborate and work together as a team. That's probably my favorite part. It used to be, earlier on in your career, it's especially as a software engineer, I want to write code, right? And I still do that quite a bit, but it's not what I enjoy the most.
Can definitely understand. I used to, in another life, did software engineering, so I can completely relate. The publishing industry, it's really evolved in the last 2 decades. Can you talk about just how has the publishing industry's needs shifted from where you started to, what ePublishing is doing right now in 2025?
Yeah, I think that, early on, when we were working with publishers and also other, we were more of a custom, development shop, and we had customers in publishing, but we also had customers in healthcare and in real estate and title industry and things like that. And so we were kind of all over the map. Back then, publishers, I think, were looking for more, SaaS wasn't really a big thing 20 years ago, right? In the publishing space, at least. It was more boutique, custom development that publishers wanted, that a very, sort of singular focus on, what they thought would work for them and their needs and how they operated, both from how they serve their customers, in public facing websites and applications, as well as how their, editorial staff and, marketing staff and so forth, what their workflows look like. Right. I think over the years that's evolved as software platforms have matured to be able to help those publishers do what they need to do. I think publishers have, evolved as well to where they're able to take on these platforms and embrace them, embrace change, embrace software, and then watch that multiply their efficiency as well as the revenue, which is ultimately their goal and our goal for them.
And I would say, the biggest trend of, it seems like my life is this AI trend and generative AI. How do you see this changing publishing in general?
It's interesting, right? We've surveyed our customers. We've done a lot of research in this, both our current client base and as well as just other publishers in the industry. And what people sometimes when they think AI and publishing, someone will think, well, that's going to take my job, or it's about writing stories, right? Like, we don't actually write anymore. We're just going to let AI generate things. That's sort of that perception. Then you've got how is AI going to play into SEO and things that publishers deal with now on their websites? And then you've got other applications that publishers are wondering how or if to embrace, such as AI search, versus traditional, site search that most publishers have today. So we've been all over the map, to be honest with you. And there's a lot of different opinions, at least within our clients, that of what's good, bad, or ugly with AI. We have some that have fully embraced it, where, they use it to generate story content, or at least what we say is to provide inspiration for what they're going to write about or how they're going to write, just to sort of break the ice, writer's block, or just ideation, for those stories. And we've provided tools like that. Some of them use them, some don't. It just depends on, what that particular company's stance is. One thing they all agree on is the actual public facing site side. I think that all of our clients are seeing a need to go with the flow where their visitors and subscribers and users are going, which is to AI, whether that's contributing content, or having content available for AI models and so forth, as long as there's source attribution, of course, or implementing, AI solutions right embedded within their website, such that kind of like some that we provide. It's coming fast and furious, that's for sure.
It's very hard to predict the future generally, and it seems harder now. And right now, what is your most successful strategy for growing your B2B customer base?
Ours is, embracing AI is one thing. We sort of have a multi-pronged approach to growing our customer base and our capabilities, and offerings and value adds for our customers. AI is playing a big part in that right now. Our chief, focus is always innovation. And so we feel like if we're innovating and either augmenting current solutions and platforms with new features and value, or if we're creating standalone products, right, for our customers that are filling a need that they have, we have to be focused on that first. We've been doing that. And so 2024 was a lot about that, where we were building a new product called Ask My Brand. That is a Gen AI application that sits alongside traditional site search, right? But it gives a publisher the ability to create their own user engagement or experience with their site's content and knowledge, if you will, and have AI drive that.
One of the common challenges that I hear a lot right now, since we're talking about AI, is just that a lot of things have become really saturated because it's easier for people to generate massive amount generic or slightly personalized messages at scale with AI. And people are complaining, everything's saturated. And I'm curious, how are you guys dealing with that at ePublishing in terms of reaching out and finding new customers? Is that something that you find is affecting you?
I think that at least from the offerings that we have and what we're marketing and what we're offering and leading the way with to gain new customers, I don't think I would say saturation has been, a problem. It's really, I think it's trying to figure out what the true gaps are for those clients and then filling those. There's innovation like I spoke about, and then there's, one of our other strategies is acquisition, but very targeted acquisition for products and platforms that complement what we have and then help publishers stand up better solutions for their subscribers and so forth. So, we went through that. We're an integrator at our deepest roots. And so we went through that with bringing on, Multipub back in 2023. And so we spent, 2023 and last year combining companies, integrating our flagship products to now come out with one holistic platform for publishers. And so that's really helped. We haven't seen any saturation from that standpoint because there's not anyone else out there doing that in that space with both aligning content management and audience and subscriber management. So that's been an easy story to tell. Then it's just about keeping that marketing engine revved up, right? We're writing more content than we ever have.
It's hard to scale content and keep the quality up. And is content marketing your primary way to get like net new eyeballs on ePublishing?
I would say it's evolved to that. Yes. I would say this year we're putting a lot more emphasis on that versus more traditional methods. Like we used to go to a lot of shows each year, especially in the B2B space, as you can imagine.
Yeah, shows are back. Everyone's excited about getting in person again.
Right. And so we're still going to go to several this year that we have on the calendar. But I think it's not only, creating content that is of value and helps, hopefully, is always our goal. Publishers that are out there, whether that or not they're in B2B, B2C, it doesn't matter. But also keeping a finger on the pulse of our current customer base, right? I mean, that's who we're, most interested in, is taking care of those that we serve today. And not that we don't want new clients. We're always obviously looking to grow, but we think that, our approach is if it works for our current customers and we can prove it out and we see that it adds value, then we know we've done something right. Content machines that you see now is just sort of sling it out there and see if we can get some eyeballs, right?
And oftentimes when you can tell when someone is doing that because the stuff you're writing about is so like very top of funnel and interesting, but it's not like it's a big jog to the product, especially with AI. I think that you see that a lot more because there's it's easier to automate these flows.
It is. Yes. we try not to fall into that trap.
What do you think the biggest challenges are that publishers are facing now?
When we look at our customers, we took a right turn, for a couple of years with, third-party cookies going away and trying to figure that out. And I think their challenge today is largely, the same as it has been. You've got a few big players that sort of dominate that market and the search engines and so forth that, you ultimately kind of have to pay homage to, or kind of go with the flow sometimes. We, even as developers, we find ourselves, and platform providers, we find ourselves being at the mercy of them, and things that we have to do sometimes on behalf of our customers. I think that in some segments of the industry that still have print, it was this push to go away from print. And all of a sudden now we're back to, well, wait a minute, print's actually making some money again, right? And so it's this constant cycle of like, which direction do I go? And now I've got to go both directions in some cases. And that gets, especially from a technology standpoint, as you try to focus on digital, but then also keep that print, workflow and machinery going, it becomes a technology challenge.
I'd love to hear from your point of view, like what happened with the consumer side of things that brought print back into profitability for some publishers. What do you think that is?
I will be honest with you. I do not know. It's a little bit, I consider myself a technologist. And so therefore and I received a newspaper up until a few years ago, right? So I'm not anti-print, but it's just such an odd medium to think of now, at least I can only speak for myself, that it's strange to me that print has seen, not everywhere, but has seen a resurgence in some markets. And I think it's more probably consumer driven than B2B, but B2B has been focused in, other assets, other distribution channels, especially email.
As a marketer, I have this gut feeling that it's related to this like basic human thing of tangibility, that there's something more valuable about something like distraction free that you can hold.
Right.
That is worth a premium, that, even the fact that it's not digital is somehow a premium experience for some people, I think, depending on what it is, right?
And there doesn't seem to be as much of it's interesting because you don't see as much of it driven by, like age ranges either. As an example, we have someone on staff who, is younger than me, is one of our lead developers. And, when we launched The Sun magazine, which is a B2C publication, very unique, creative content. It's a really cool website. And we all enjoyed building it and we love the content. We love the experience there. And he went ahead and subscribed to the magazine as well, the actual print magazine, and looks forward to it every month. He just loves it, So yeah, I think and I still receive magazines, right? I think you're right. There is something about bringing it with you. Maybe I'm sure my age, but there's something about bringing a magazine on the plane, right? Or on the drive.
Yeah, I always feel like random, like very rarely I'll go buy a magazine and I feel like it's luxurious, like, okay, I'm gonna sit on my favorite couch with
distraction free, right? Like it's a good experience.
What do you see for the future of content management and just general like CDP solutions? Where is that going?
That's a great question because the future of content management does involve all of that first party data. Really, at the end of the day, it all becomes one ecosystem, or it should. And so, I spoke about that acquisition earlier. That's what we believe. That's what we believe the market needs. That's what we believe will make publishers increase their revenue and their subscriber to have that content aligned with their first party rich data, right? They're able to gather, obviously in a privacy focused way, but they're able to gather that data and then take action on that to provide a better experience, provide better content that their customers need and so forth. And so aligning the content with the first party data is number one. And like we're saying, it's getting there faster than we can even imagine. But I think agent-based content management is going to be a thing that we're looking at, very closely. At ePublishing, we have, our flagship product Continuum, which is our content management system. We've already integrated so much AI into it. The natural next step is to take that to the next level with agentic, capabilities, right?
Let it start making choices.
Let it start making choices. Let it start helping produce not only better content, but better experiences for the reader. And also just in a pure workflow standpoint, right? We're going to get to this. We're already there into this sort of prompt based click. We thought voice, right? And voice is a little bit that way, right? Like I don't think it caught on as much as some of us believed it would, but I think that typing a prompt to tell the system what you want to do or accomplish is going to be much more common than they clicking buttons, 25 selections in a row to achieve an outcome.
I'm sure it'll get there. Like it's a couple of chunky bits are not or clunky, but they're gonna. At the rate things are going, I see it happening too. Speaking of first party data, this is one of the reasons I love video. Generally, know if someone watched it and you have some idea if it was good, versus text. It's difficult to know. I mean, there's kind of proxy ways if you're measuring how far they get on the page, but not quite as clear as video.
There's a lot of, and also, and this has been we talk about challenges. This has been a challenge for years, but AI is making it easier or at least more accessible. But, that journey from an unknown customer or visitor or reader to a known visitor, that's always a challenge. And then, that's at least getting to where can start to establish a relationship with that potential customer. That conversion there is always been challenging, and I think that it's going to get easier with AI and it's not just all about AI. We're just having some more advances in technology that are allowing us to do some things like that in a more scalable way.
Well, this has been fascinating, Trey. And before we wrap up, I'd love to know what excites you the most about ePublishing's future and just evolving like media tech space.
I think that is the most exciting part, right? Publishing has been about producing content, for decades. Its role and that are a part of that, editorial, journalists, you name it. Those roles have been there and they've been sort of the foundation for that. And so we've been able to, over not just ePublishing, but other companies and publishers themselves have been able to increase efficiencies and capabilities and so forth there over the years. But at the end of the day, it's still about writing good content and providing value to their readers, right? I think that technology is going to be able to, much like a developer, in my experience anyway, can really 5-10x themselves using AI, GPT or Claude or whatever your model of choice is. I think we're going to see the same transformation within editorial and within publishing, where AI and technology in general is going to help them to greatly increase their output, their value. And I think it's fun to be a part of that as a technology provider.
Thank you so much, Trey.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so for anyone who's interested, where should they go look you up?
I'm on LinkedIn, at Trey Connell. And then, of course, you can always go to our website at ePublishing.com. And I'd love, anyone's interested in having a conversation, I'd love to visit.
Thanks.